inaugural event of AmCham's Legal Advocacy Committee, our now 8th Advocacy Committee, joining tax, women's real estate, information communication technology, corporate social responsibility, and beer and spirits. AmCham will continue these events and engage more ministries to ensure there is collaboration with the government, representation of member interests, and understanding of market requirements and issues, and to be informative and educational on laws and regulations. The establishment of the Legal Advocacy Committee was founded on strong demand by the membership and to better understand the laws and regulations of the Kingdom of Cambodia, to be more involved and to have representation in future issuance of laws and regulations, to collaborate with the ministries on promoting laws which advance the social and economic prosperity of the country. The Legal Advocacy Committee has had an amazing start, and I am proud to be part of this wonderful event and this incredible lineup of speakers and topics. In closing, I want to reiterate just how important this committee is. Of course, laws which promote economic and social prosperity are critical to a country's growth, but they also are a foundation of a civil, safe, and peaceful society and community.
Nó bài giá ca đạiประเทศជាច្រើននៅជុំវិញពិភពលោកនៅបន្តជួបប្រទះនឹងការរាលដាលជំងឺ COVID-19 នៅឡើយរាជរដ្ឋាភិបាលកម្ពុជាបាននឹងកំពុងព្យាយាមប្រែក្លាយវិបត្តិឲ្យទៅជាកាលានុវត្តភាពតាមរយៈការពន្លឿនការកែតម្រង់ស៊ីជម្រៅដើម្បីលើកកម្ពស់បរិយាកាសធុរកិច្ចនិងពង្រឹងភាពប្រកួតប្រជែងរបស់កម្ពុជាក្នុងនោះកាលពីខែតុលាឆ្នាំ2021កម្ពុជាបានដាក់ចេញនូវច្បាប់ស្តីពីវិនិយោគនៃប្រជាណាចក្រកម្ពុជាដែលជាច្បាប់វិនិយោគថ្មីដោយមានការកំណត់នៅការផ្ដល់ការលើកទឹកចិត្តនិងការការពារដល់វិនិយោគិនជាក់លាក់និងច្បាស់លាស់ក្នុងបំណងបង្កើនការទាក់ទាញវិនិយោគសម្រាប់កម្ពុជាក្រោយពីបង្កើតគណៈកម្មការហើយគណៈកម្មការបានប្រជុំគ្នាច្រើនដងហើយកិច្ចប្រជុំនេះបានរកឃើញនៅចំណុចមួយចំនួនដែលច្បាប់ចែងថាតុលាការពាណិជ្ជកម្មនិងតុលាការការងារនិងតុលាការឯកទេសមួយចំនួនទៀតត្រូវនៅក្រោមសាលាដំបងរាជធានីខេត្តប៉ុន្តែគណៈកម្មការបានរកឃើញថាបើនៅក្រោមសាលាដំបងរាជធានីខេត្តដែលយើងត្រូវដាក់ឲ្យដំណើរការទូទាំងប្រទេសគឺយើងអត់មានទី1យើងអត់មានធនធានមនុស្សគ្រប់គ្រាន់ទី2យើងអត់ទាន់មានលិខិតបទដ្ឋានពាក់ព័ន្ធជាមួយនឹងតុលាការពាណិជ្ជកម្មទី3យើងអត់ទាន់មាននីតិវិធីពាក់ព័ន្ធមួយតុលាការពាណិជ្ជកម្មទី4យើងអត់ទាន់បានកំណត់ថាតើរឿងវិវាទអីខ្លះដែលស្ថិតនៅក្នុងសមត្ថកិច្ចរបស់តុលាការពាណិជ្ជកម្មអានេះជាចំណុចសំខាន់ដែលក្រុមការងារបានធ្វើរបាយការណ៍ជូនអាដាមរដ្ឋមន្ត្រីក្រសួងយុទ្ធភ័ពអាដាមរដ្ឋមន្ត្រីក្រសួងយុទ្ធភ័ពក៏បានសម្រេចថាយើងត្រូវបង្កើតតុលាការពាណិជ្ជកម្មតែមួយសិននៅរាជធានីភ្នំពេញដែលមាន2ថ្នាក់គឺមានសាលាដំបងតុលាពាណិជ្ជកម្មដំបងនិងតុលាការពាណិជ្ជកម្មឧត្តរនៅជាមួយគ្នានៅកន្លែងជាមួយគ្នាប៉ុន្តែករណីយុត្តាធិការការសម្រេចសេចក្តីទៅតាមសមត្ថកិច្ចរបស់ខ្លួនរៀងខ្លួនចំពោះតុលាការកំពូលដែលមានបណ្ដឹងសារទុកទៅតុលាការកំពូលគឺទៅតុលាការកំពូលរបស់យើងដែលមានតែមួយនៅក្នុងប្រទេសកម្ពុជាហើយនៅក្នុងច្បាប់យើងត្រៀមនឹងបើកឲ្យមានតុលាការពាណិជ្ជកម្មនៅតាមតំបន់ឧត្តរប្រសិនបើមានការចាំបាច់នៅថ្ងៃអនាគតប្រសិនបើយើងយល់ថាឥឡូវខ្ញុំលើកឧទាហរណ៍ថានៅកំពង់សោមនៅមានភាពចាំបាច់ត្រូវមានតុលាការពាណិជ្ជកម្មនៅតំបន់ហ្នឹងព្រោះនៅកំពង់សោមមានតំបន់ឧត្តរដែរមានសាលាឧត្តរអញ្ចឹងយើងអាចបង្កើតតុលាការពង្រីកតុលាការពាណិជ្ជកម្មនៅទីនោះបាន
Over the next year, we hope to work to improve the business environment in Cambodia, contribute to the drafting of laws and regulations, share information, and advocate for legal reforms. And we're really dedicated to representing the interests of our members. And so I'm softly that we want to hear from you. We want to hear what's important to you so that we can make sure that we are representing your interests.
During the negotiation of trade agreements and accession WTO, I think Cambodian negotiator recognized there's a challenge, what we call a regulatory challenge for doing business in Cambodia. And there's a strong commitment from Cambodian government to reform the legal and judicial system. So 2003, 2004, there's a lot of developments, a very active discussion on the reform of Cambodian legal and judicial system. As an evidence, I think the law on commercial arbitration was adopted in 2006, which is one of the improvement in the commercial sector, especially with regard to the dispute resolution mechanism. Before, we only relied on traditional courts and all kinds of disputes, but there's an option to refer a case to arbitration. I think today we have some prominent arbitrators, member of National Arbitration Center, participate in this event as well. That's one of the improvements. However, there were a lot of discussions on the draft law on commercial courts from Ministry of Commerce with Ministry of Justice, but the draft law were just were pending for so many years. So hopefully we can work with American Chambers Commerce more to get more inputs from you when the draft is ready for consultations.
So I think the really sort of interesting takeaway is that now companies have an affirmative obligation to go out and acquire a .com.kh domain name and a related email extension. So if you look at some of the new regulations, there was a sub-decree 287, and that set out the general requirement for all locally registered companies to have a .com.kh domain name and email address. Now, one of the things to take away from that regulation, in case you're thinking like, oh my gosh, do I have to get a whole new website, redo all my email addresses? The answer is no. You can still use your existing website and domain names. However, when you do things like your annual declaration of commercial enterprise, it's going to require you to put in a .com.kh domain name. So that was sort of the new regulation that came out, Prakas 837, that said from January 1st, 2023, all companies must provide the MOC with an email address with that .com.kh extension when submitting their annual declaration of commercial enterprise.
A cooling off period, it means that you have a kind of time to really terminate your agreement if without any reason at all. But this will apply to e-commerce transaction and door-to-door sale only. Why is that? Because if you purchase things online, you do not have the opportunity to really check or verify the quality of the goods. So that's why they give you 7 days to return the good, and then they will return the fee back. And as well for door-to-door sale, it means that you are under the pressure that the business operator is in front of your door and say, please buy me. I spend so much to travel to your place. Or they would have some kind of a cleaning machine clean the house for you and force you to buy it. So you buy it out under pressure. And then you do not really have a time to really digest this goods, you need it or not. So that's why they have 7 days. And I would love to really clarify as well that for this, we mandate the business operator to put the options that the consumer can really return the goods within 7 days or return the service within 7 days in the contract itself. So it makes things as a mutual agreement between parties.
With the new regulations, if there's uncertainty about whether or not the wording of your ad, okay, complies with these new requirements, this puts a mechanism in place where you can be assured that you're legal before you go to print with your ad. And of course, what this stops is you then being found in breach of the law and therefore subject to penalty. So it's a way to make sure your ad's compliant before you go to print. So it's a new mechanisms put in place by the ministry. The conditions are there. It's valid for 1 year. They'll approve it within 5 days. It only apply. You can extend it, but not for non-reward advertising, etc., etc. Okay, the fee is yet to be determined, but of course there will be a fee for applying for this, what they're calling a certificate of compliance.
A lot of people do Facebook advertising or LinkedIn advertising. And they may not do that through an agent, obviously. They just may be doing it through their company. Do they have to get a license for this?
Okay. It's interesting because it applies to websites as well, I suppose, but Facebook advertising is a big thing, right? So Facebook are the platform. So if they were in Cambodia, for example, they would be, and they're providing the platform for advertising, so they would be getting the license from the Ministry of Information, however, they're not here, right? So this is going to be a big issue for the ministry. So if I'm placing an ad, if I'm advertising this event, for example, right, on Facebook, am I expected to go and get a license from the Ministry of Justice to put an ad saying, AmCham have a thing on next Wednesday? So you've got to assume that the spirit of this whole concept is that, it doesn't change much from the previous advertising regulations, except insofar as those other requirements, the compliance, the wording, this, that, and the other. So we did speak to some of the officials within the authorities, and they kind of hinted at, no, nothing changes in that regard. They're not going to run around and look for an ad that's on my website or things of that nature, because I'm not myself an advertising platform. But I need to be careful that my ad doesn't breach any of those new requirements. So maybe I still do want to go ahead and but do I have to get a license? The understanding at the moment is no. Okay. The actual, when they say the advertiser gets a license, they're talking about the agency platform. Okay, but the individual, I'm not an advertiser by placing an ad in that sense. So that's the current understanding, but we have to wait to see how it plays out.
If you're afraid to hire more staff because you think that you can earn penny here, penny there, and you can squeeze from your employees' sweat and blood earning, you end up losing more. So pay them at the market rate and hire the right skill and put the right people in the right position, and make sure you have someone. It's the three main bloodline for a company. Human resources, very important. To hire someone that's not relative, do the right thing for the right job and no bias. Number two, finance, so that they do cash flow. You don't have any short-handed. In Cambodia, 90% of people fail because they are short-handed. They don't have proper management of the fund. Within 3 years, they run out of fund, and then they close. But they are not making, they are not making profit. The company making profit, but they are short-handed because 3 more months, or 1 more week, the money will flow in 100%. But right now, you need just only $100 you don't even have. That's short-handed. Then you go, you crash. And people, word of mouth is confident. It's very important doing business. So finance management. Another one is the ITC, information technology. It's very relevant, vital to the survival of a company. You need to keep record because every company in Cambodia, they care less. Not every, a lot of companies that I have known, they care less about records, about archive, about documents, about filings. So when they look for it, they don't have any. With the small, you can keep track, keep record, you can follow up. When your company grows suddenly from the 4 staff to, like my company, 2,300, and student from 4 students now to 20,000. How would you know who's and who? How you grade the SMS, school management system? How you know who's graduate what year, what grade, and how to grade transcript? All of those things need the IT. So those are the three bloodlines for a company to survive.
Lastly, thank all of you for staying with us for today. We really enjoyed your presence, and we certainly hope to have more events in the future for you to join. That said, thank you very much.